Welcome to the Cam and Joe Show, episode 1, where we're going to take a divisional deep dive and an outlook at the MLB playoff picture, how every team is doing, if they're meeting expectations or falling well short. And we are going to jump right into it today. This is the Cam and Joe Show, where we talk all things Major League Baseball. So let's start today out west. Let's start with the American League West. And it's a wild division. I mean, going into this year, there were 4 teams that could potentially win this division, but everybody had the favorite.
Yeah.
But
Clearly.
they're not in first place. So let's take a look at the 2-horse kind of race at the top between Texas and Houston. A great rivalry. I remember back 2015-16 with both teams were really, really good and they were meeting in the playoffs.
Yeah. And
And
then Texas decided they didn't really like playing baseball anymore. So it's a little tough. A little tough for them.
yeah, but Houston, obviously 2 championships in the past 6 years. And so they're looking to repeat, but they got off to a slow start. And so they've really had to claw themselves out of a hole. Dusty Baker's done a good job of really bringing them back. Last 10 games, they're 7-3. Their pitching starting to get healthy again. But the big thing that's really helped them is how the Rangers have played their last 10. They literally flip it. They're 3-7.
Yeah.
So the Rangers have been an unbelievable team this year. They were first in the power rankings in many websites all throughout the year. Obviously, the Braves and the Rays were up there for a while, but the Rangers have been right there, especially in every offensive category. They're first in doubles. They're top 5 in home runs. Their run differential tied for first with the Braves at plus 153. That's really, really good.
Yeah. And the other thing that caused like the slide of the Rangers was they used to have some incredible pitching talent, but has since gone on the injured list.
Yeah. And so obviously, if you look at the rotation right now, Dane Dunning's had to step into a role. He's a solid starter. He's not really your top end of the rotation guy, but he's stepped in nicely. But Nathan Eovaldi, he's an ace. He's had a great year. He's been their best starter this year. ERA 2.83. He's got a FIP of 319. So even the fielding aspect, he's still doing incredible. John Gray, former Rockies ace. He's had a good year. ERA 3.29. Andrew Heaney, he's on the IL right now, but he's had a solid year, which honestly, that surprised me. They gave him a contract this year. And I remember the past couple of years when he was with the Yankees and
he went to the Dodgers.
Yeah.
And the Dodgers saved him because
yeah.
they are really good at developing pitches like the sweeper.
Yeah.
And they got Heaney's slider to almost become a sweeper, even though it doesn't work well for lefties. And he turned into a great pitcher.
And now he's right back to where he was back when everybody thought he fell off the table. But I mean,
Back when he was
the
with the Yankees
Rangers
and starting
have
the freaking the cornfield game. I don't know why that
the
happened.
Field of Dreams.
Yeah, I don't know. The cornfield game.
The cornfield game. Yeah.
That was a great experience.
Biggest game of the year for those two teams. The Yankees rolled out Andrew Heaney back when he was having the worst year of his life.
Have to close the game. What are we going to do? Use our actual closer or a guy who went up and told our manager, hey, I don't really feel comfortable closing because I just don't think I have it. No, I trust you. And then gives up a walk-off home run.
We'll get to your Yankees soon, Cam. We can cry about your Yankees later.
Dane Dunning, though, 8-1, 2.61 ERA, and his FIP is 3.7.
Yeah, he's been good.
It's been really good this year.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is I think a big aspect also been bring back Bruce Bochy. Bruce Bochy, great manager, World Series champion multiple times with the Giants. I mean, it's a great fit. And he's got a great rotation, and the offense is unbelievable. You got those huge contracts right now with Seager and Simeon, but it's not like with the Angels with 2 big contracts where it's just those two trying to carry the load. This is an entire lineup up to down. Their 9-hitter was hitting when the other day when they were playing against the Red Sox. I'm not sure exactly who it was. I think his last name was Davis. I never even heard of the kid before, and he was hitting like 290. He's a 9 hitter. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, but like their
Yeah.
lineup, Jonah Heim,
Oh, he's been
he's
great.
been batting pretty well as a guy who has not been historically known for having a bat
Yeah.
at all.
And
And he's
and
got a
Josh
121
Young.
OPS
Josh
plus.
Young's been really good. But yeah, that's kind of the summary of the Rangers. It's really about can they kind of recover from these injuries of DeGrom, Perez, and Heaney? Can Dane Dunning continue to step into the rotation role?
And you
And
you did just trade for a closing pitcher
yeah.
not too long ago.
Mm-hmm.
Wonder how he's gonna fare.
So yeah, the bullpen's Bennett was a question in Texas last year, but they weren't as relevant. This year they're a very, very good team. So it's really about can they fend off Houston from taking the title again?
And there's one problem with trading for said relief pitcher is that said relief pitcher doesn't do too well against Houston.
Yeah.
In my
Aroldis,
personal experience, he doesn't do too well against Houston. So I don't know if I would have traded for him exactly, but you really got him for nothing. So
yeah, no, Aroldis Chapman's had a really good year with Kansas City, and so another lefty in the bullpen throws hard. They're trying to hope he can be what he was 4 years ago. So, and then with Houston, there's not really much to say. I mean, this is kind of the way they've been playing recently is how we've expected them to play all year. They just haven't. It just hasn't come to fruition yet. So that's a division to really keep an eye on at the top two. And I think the rest of the teams, you don't have anything.
to talk about Houston, Jeremy Pena, big breakout year last year, hasn't really followed up that
No.
that year. He's only batting 248 and his OPS plus is below 100.
Yeah. So I mean, with Houston, but that's the thing is there's so many other body like Kyle Tucker. He's doing very well. Jose Altuve's back. Alex Bregman's out of his slump. I mean, I'm not worried about the Astros, and you can't be. They're 7-3 in their last 10. You can never be worried about the Astros. They're gonna be
No,
fine. I would be very shocked if they fall out of the playoffs, and I wouldn't be surprised if they take the division right now, the way they've been playing. So
would not be a surprise at all. Just
So
to complete.
let's look at Seattle and LA as we let's this is another kind of two-team pairing. They're literally Seattle's 7 games out, the Angels are 7.5. The Angels had the third wild card spot for about 2 months. And then all of a sudden injuries really started to pile up. Anthony Rendon was having setbacks. Gio Urshela got hurt. Trout got hurt on a swing. Otani had to get taken out of the game. And it's just not looking good for the Halos right now. And I think they are going to, they're in fourth right now, just behind the Mariners. And I think they're going to stay there. I don't think they're digging out of that hole.
They at least know that they're not going to finish fifth in the division, which I think
Yeah.
helps the team morale.
Oh, that's so promising
But I don't know if that's finishing
to
fourth in the
finish
AL
above the
West
Oakland A's.
is necessarily the thing you want when you have the greatest player potentially of all time on your team.
Yeah.
I
And
don't know if he's going to be very happy with finishing fourth in a
they are
division.
1-9 in their last 10, and they've lost 5 in a row. So that's it. Just I don't know. And like their rotation right now, you have Sandoval, Otani, Tyler Anderson. Yeah, it's a good top 3, but they are not a team with tons of depth. They've never been a team with tons of depth, and that's why injuries always hurt them. That's all I really have to say about the Angels. I mean, you can't. It's just been like this for so long. The big question, which we're gonna get to when we talk trade deadline in a couple weeks, is Otani on the block, or because the fans, it's either you win the fans over, or you really better hope you make a good trade when it comes to your future, or you are in trouble for a long, long time.
Yeah, you've
They're
got
in a
an
tough
A
spot.
situation,
They're in a tough spot because you can't be buyers this year as the Angels. You kind of have to be holders.
which is weird to say, but yeah, you absolutely have to because it would be very difficult to break into a wild card spot at this point.
Yeah, especially with the amount of teams rising right now. No.
Yeah, it would be something, but I wouldn't put it past Otani to carry them for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You just need anyone else that not named Mike Trout to do something, and that just hasn't happened,
No.
unfortunately.
And then you want to talk the Mariners real quick. They are in baseball purgatory. They're right in the middle. They're at 44-44, 7 games out, 6-4 in their last 10, plus 34 run differential. They're just a middle mediocre team. I mean, there's not much else to it. Like you had the injury to Robbie Ray, which hurt at the beginning of the year. Luis Castillo has been decent, but he hasn't been how he was last year. They're just kind of a team that was really young last year and made that big push. And the only reason they lost was because they ran into the juggernaut Astros in the playoffs. But they have not bounced back. They just haven't. They've just not. The rookies and the young kids from last year have not taken the next step forward.
Yeah, J-Rod making the All-Star game was a little surprising.
Well, that's also that's
He was a
not based on
replacement,
numbers though.
but and I know it's an image thing. He's a
Yeah.
star. You just have to put him in
He's
there,
a
but
fan favorite. That's how the all-star voting works.
it's
Yeah.
a little tough because
Yeah.
he's not having a great year. Best hitter on their team in terms of OPS plus right now is Mike Ford.
Yeah.
So, I
Mike
mean,
Ford.
he's only got 87 plate appearances, but 8 home runs in those 87 plate appearances. So that's
Yankees
you take
legend.
that. The Yankees
Mike Ford.
legend.
Mike Ford.
And then you've got the last team in the division.
Yeah, the Oakland A's could be playing in AAA. They could be playing in AA. But they run differential. Do you have it up or do you want to take a guess if you don't have it up?
I don't have it up.
Take a guess what
Um,
the run differential
so I
is.
know through like
How
the
many
first three
runs they
weeks
have?
for the first 3 weeks they were down 100 in their run differential.
Yeah, so that run differential.
My guess
So
is
this is how many more runs they've allowed than they have scored. It's unbelievable.
like 250.
Yeah, it's 247.
Oh
It's,
wow.
it's close.
Huh.
Yeah, and their expected win loss 24 and 67. They're 25 and 66. So I mean, they are right where you'd expect based on their advanced statistics. They're just a bad baseball team. They just haven't developed anybody. They haven't made good trades, and it's a good thing that they're moving to Vegas where they're going to get a different market. I have nothing to say about the Ace. They're just not. They're just having a terrible year. They're just not a good
Yep.
seat. Yeah. Okay. We're gonna stay out west. We're gonna jump to the NL West, and this is a real tight one between three teams right now, and neither of those three are the San Diego Padres. The Padres, I think, we're gonna touch on the most.
Yeah.
But let's talk Diamondbacks Dodgers right now. The Diamondbacks 52 and 38. Their run differential of plus 29. So for a first place team, that's not much. Whereas the Dodgers is plus 76. But the Dodgers are only a half game back. These two are going to fight. Zach Gallen and Merrill Kelly are an elite 1-2 combination. They are so good.
Yeah.
So go ahead. Let's talk Arizona real quick with that
So
young team they have.
they cooled off a little bit going into the All-Star break. They've got another game, but big loss to the Mets 9-0. It's not something you really want mojo wise going into the All-Star break. Gabriel Moreno has been a really good hitting catcher. Hitting catchers are a hot commodity in MLB. He's only got 80 OPS plus, but the 267 batting average you'll take.
Yeah.
Ketel Marte, just good. Overall,
Yeah.
just good.
They have a really good young team. I mean, that trade they made in the offseason, trading away Dalton Varsho for Gurriel and Moreno, props to them. Gurriel is having a great year.
Yeah.
Lourdes Gurriel Jr. in 300 plate appearances right now. He's hitting 267. His OPS is 820. OPS plus 121. And I mean, he's just doing more than expected. He's hit 15 home runs. I mean, he was like a Blue Jays 6-7 hitter. Sometimes he did 8. Like he's right now your D-backs number 3, number 4 guy in their lineup. He's producing. And with the scary part right now is Corbin Carroll got hurt.
Yeah.
And he was
I think he got hurt and then he came back and he hit the walk off.
Yeah.
So
But
not too worried about it.
You still have to watch the hand though,
Of
because
course.
it happened twice.
Yeah.
We had to get taken out. So
he leads the team in baseball reference WAR at 3.8.
Yeah, he's a great young kid. He's gonna push for 30-30. So he's fun to watch. That team's fun to watch. I just don't think with the Dodgers right on their heels, I just think the Dodgers are more of a powerhouse. Let's jump to them.
And the Dodgers have more experience. They've been there before.
Yeah, so let's talk LA real quick. Obviously, they're the champs of this division. They've always been one of the favorites for the World Series in the past 10 years, really. Almost every single year they've won one championship in the past 10 years that they've been favorites. And they're just solid. I mean, you just read what you have. You have Will Smith, Freddie Freeman, Max Muncy, JD Martinez, Mookie Betts, and rookie James Outman. I mean, it's a great team. They're a great development type team. Any rookie they bring up, they're just a stud. Whether it's a pitcher or an outfielder, it doesn't matter. They're
Yeah.
great.
Their minor league system is incredible. Their development is just they don't even need a top 15 system, but they'll develop those guys who are outside of the MLB's top 100 and turn them into like valuable MLB players.
And like we said with Andrew Heaney, they're really good at bringing players back into their system who you'd think are kind of falling off and sliding in their careers and turning it around. They did it with Rich Hill too, back when Rich Hill was really aging. They did it with
Still
Andrew
is.
Heaney. He obviously, but JD Martinez, like as a Red Sox fan, I didn't want him back after this year. He was striking out at a really high rate. His power numbers went way down last year. And I mean, I wouldn't have been surprised if they signed him back. It probably would have stayed the same as last year. But he went to the Dodgers and reunited with his hitting coach from back when he was with, I think, with Cincinnati or with Arizona, one of those two.
Yeah, I think it's Arizona.
It was when he was with Arizona because he got traded.
Yeah.
And he's the starting DH for the All-Star game. He's hitting 255, OPS of 872. And he's hit 22 home runs, 62 RBIs. That's pretty good.
You'll take it.
You'll take it big time from a DH, especially a guy at his age. Like he's still doing
35.
He's producing.
They've got a fairly old team.
They do, but this is a team that's really, really dangerous. I mean, the guys they want to step up, like Max Muncy's only hitting 198, but his OPS is still over 800 because he slugs.
Yeah.
21 home runs. So,
and their pitchers, they've hit
they have such a good balance.
Injured list, but
doesn't matter.
They'll be fine.
It doesn't matter because anybody that they bring up is just they just put in numbers. They put in great work. It doesn't matter.
Because I think Dustin May is going for Tommy John again.
Yeah. Julio Urias hasn't stayed completely healthy. Gonsolin,
Kershaw and Syndergaard are on the 15-day IL.
Yeah, but like they've been bringing up these kids. Shelby Miller they've brought up for a few games, ERA of 2.4. Like, come on, it's like all these young kids. I think he took a no-hitter into like the 7th inning in his first start.
They've got a guy by the name of Andre Jackson who has thrown 7 games in 17.2 innings at a 6.62 ERA.
That's not too promising.
I hope that there's another Andre Jackson out there somewhere that's doing a little bit better right now.
Oh, there is. UConn great Andre Jackson. Shout out Andre Jackson.
Shout out to Andre Jackson. Good friend of ours.
Good, really good friend.
Good luck in Summer League, too. With the Bucks, he had a good first game.
He did 2 blocks, same play.
Yeah.
That was pretty epic. UConn proud. Okay, so now let's jump to the Giants, who are half game out of the wild card and only 3.5 out of the division. They're 3-7 in their last 10, but they recently in the past month, they've had a very good month. They have really stepped up, especially since they struggled in April and May. I don't have too much on the Giants, really. I don't think they're a playoff team. I think they kind of just got hot. I don't think they're going to keep this up. They're an older team as well, but I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on San Francisco?
They were really hot. They had a 10-game win streak in June. Yeah. But yeah, there's not much to say with them. They're older. They do have experience on their side, but the experience hasn't been great. They were, I would say, 1 out away last year from causing a little bit of noise.
Yeah.
But I mean, who knows? Get them into the wild card game. They show somebody up, and it could be anyone's game. Yeah, they can hang with anyone.
Their rotation's been solid. I mean, Alex Cobb, 2.91 ERA. That kid, he's been really good, and he's another one. He's older, and he's really revamped his career. And then Logan Webb's at the top of their rotation. Desclafani's on the IL, but he's solid. So it's a decent team. They signed Ross Stripling, who pitched for the Jays last year. He's having a tough year, but still, like and they have a solid bullpen.
They've
Doval,
got both the
both the
Rogers.
Roger brothers. Yeah. I don't know. It's just a matter of staying healthy with this team, and then NL just has some tough competition, especially in the NL East, which we'll get to pretty soon.
Yeah.
And then quickly, let's just touch on the Padres. A super team going into this year, a super disappointment right now.
Yes. Complete
42
disappointment.
and 47, 9.5 games out. I'm pretty sure is what they are. Yeah, and 6.5 out of a wild card. So there's still a chance, but they're 5-5 in their last 10. The plus 35 run differential. Individually,
they just
haven't hit the spark. Bogart's had a great April. Has not done anything since then.
Yeah, and you've got guys like
been,
Gary Sanchez on the roster who are contributing,
and Rougned Odor.
Yeah, you've got an old expensive team, and when Ha-Seong Kim is leading your team in Baseball Reference WAR, and you've got guys like Tatis and Juan Soto
and
on your team, and Manny Machado, who's 8th, you're not having too great of a year.
No, it just has not looked good all the way around. And like their pitching leader, I'm pretty sure is Michael Wacha.
Yeah, who is on the injured list? He's 8-2 with the 2.84 ERA. But
and they have a solid rotation. Snell's been better as of late.
Their fielding has helped them, helped the top 2 pitchers in terms of their ERA and their FIP, because Snell has a 2.85 ERA and his FIP is 3.61. Wacha has a 2.84 ERA and his FIP is 3.74. So yeah.
Padres have some interesting decisions, but there's not much you can do this year. You kind of just have to hold, and I think they're going to probably have to let Juan Soto go. They're going to probably have to let him walk.
Which is unfortunate.
They've spent so much.
So. Or you bring him back on a 10-year, $400 million deal, just like the 4 other guys on your roster.
Yeah, they've spent a lot of money. And then the Rockies, we won't touch on much. It's just this was the year we expected from them. 5th place, well below 500. They're just young. They're building. So there's not much to say about the Rockies. So before we jump to the AL and NL Central, we're going to do a little segment called our Player of the Day. And so we are just going to randomly spin this wheel and see what MLB team we land on. And it is the Cleveland Guardians. And then we are going to generate a random number here. 56. And so let's see who the Guardians have number 56 on their team. And we're just going to talk about them and look at their reference page real quick.
Okay,
so,
let's go.
Cleveland Guardians roster. If they don't have one, then we can generate a different number from the Guardians.
Okay.
I'm looking at the roster right now. 56. I'm not seeing one on the active roster. I don't think so. The closest we have is 55.
So let's go all time.
Yeah, look all time. See if we have one.
For what number?
56 for Cleveland.
56. We've got 19.
19 players ever
this year. Touki Toussaint. 56.
Is this year?
Yep.
Really? It doesn't say he must not be on the active roster. Hold on, we could talk about Touki Toussaint.
Let's pull up his Baseball Reference page.
Dude, Touki Toussaint. 27 years old. Okay.
He was on Cleveland, then he got traded or DFA'd to the White Sox.
Yeah. So he was on Cleveland, but then they cut him. So he is a 3.86 ERA. He started three games for them, 18 strikeouts, and a whip of 1.4. So he has played since 2018.
Of course, with Atlanta.
The Angels.
Was an okay reliever with Atlanta. He had his rookie season was his best season, but in terms of ERA plus this year, has been his best, and in terms of just ERA in general. It's only 18.2 innings, but 115 ERA plus, which is his only time other than his rookie year that he's significantly over the ERA plus 100 mark. So certainly interesting player, and you've got something to talk about.
So, I mean,
He has 47 right
I
now
I
with the
saw
White Sox.
him I saw him pitch for Atlanta in 2017.
Okay.
That's all I have. He's pitched an inning. So that's my only connection. I saw him pitch an inning.
I have no connection to Tuki Toussaint. I
That's
have
that's
had
all
his
I
card in
got.
MLB The Show at one point. I can remember.
Okay. Yeah, so that was our player of the day, Tuki Toussaint. Shout out. He's still playing.
Still
So
going strong.
so that's good. So now let's get to the AL and NL Central, and then we'll do another segment.
Are we gonna have
Uh
time for that?
I don't know. We might not. We might just go through the standings.
Okay. Do you want to just do the our next episode? Just do East West, or just do the Central and the American and National? Do it like
Yeah,
that.
let's just do the next four. Let's just do them all right now because we don't need
Okay.
to talk much about the Central.
Just fly through the standings. Okay.
The Central is not much. So we really highlighted the other two, and we're going to highlight the East divisions quite a bit. But we're just going to talk about the Central real quick. So you have Cleveland and Minnesota as your top two. Both are right at 500. Cleveland's a half game up, 45 and 44. The Twins are 45 and 45. Twins are struggling the last few. Cleveland's getting hot. This was the two-horse race we kind of expected. There's not much else to say. Both teams are not very great. They're only because they're in weak divisions that they're in first. That's really
Yeah.
all we have to say.
Looking at the American League in from you can put the East, the entire AL East record wise is above all the teams in the AL Central, and
Yeah.
it's in order.
Yep. And then you have Detroit, who's in third, having a better year than expected. I mean, they're still way below 500, but they're okay. Like they're being developed. And then Chicago, terrible season. They're gonna
Yeah.
trade away some pieces. They got a rotation with some names: Lance Lynn, Lucas Giolito, Dylan Cease. They're gonna trade away some names. Tim Anderson doesn't like playing there apparently. So not much to say about the White Sox. And then Kansas City,
None of
they're in
those.
last. They're
Yeah.
they're terrible. Not as bad as the A's, but they're still really bad. Um, and I think so. Basically, about that division, Cleveland, Minnesota, whoever stays healthy is going to take it because Cleveland's had some injury problems. Minnesota's had a few injury problems with the offense, whereas Cleveland's more about the pitching. NL Central, the Reds, 2 games up on the Brewers. It's right now
It's
a
the
2-team
two-horse
race.
race, and then there's a disappointment in
St.
that
Louis.
division.
So St. Louis will hit on real quick. They're going to need to make some changes. Their manager's going to be gone by the end of this year, I think. St. Louis 37 and 52 with a minus 34 run differential. Their rotation's just not very strong. It's old and it's not consistent. Jack Flaherty's having a down year. He could be a
Steven
trade
Matz
piece.
is
Steven Matz
pitching at
is too.
32. He's a 0-7 record at a 5 ERA.
Yeah. And then Chicago and Pittsburgh right in the middle. Not much to say about them. That's about where we expected them to be, right in the middle. The Brewers towards the top, which is what we expected. They're 48 and 42. They have a solid team. Corbin Burns, Brandon Woodruff. I think they're going to be buyers just because they're only 2 games back, only one out of a wild card. And then Christian Yelich having a much better year than he has in recent years. Willie Adames has been really good, and they've got some power with Rowdy Tellez. It's a solid team. They're just not a very not a very deep
They're
team,
not as exciting as the team in first place currently.
which is the Reds. And they have their one stud right now, Ellie De La Cruz, who we're going to talk. He stole 3 bases yesterday. Second, third, and home on 3 straight pitches. They're an exciting team. They were supposed to finish in fourth or fifth, and they are rolling 10 games above 500. It's really been the offense. They have not been pitching very well, but their offense is really, really good. And they're going to be buyers, I think. I think they're going to go right in. I don't think they're going to spend big time just because they're still young, but they're going to get a couple pieces and try to make a push. And I think they're going to win this division.
At this point, it seems like they will. Ellie De La Cruz is everything baseball needs right now. You've
Yeah,
got
he's
Shohei
exciting.
Ohtani,
Yeah.
and he's just Ellie De La Cruz is insanely exciting. I saw someone tweet about what other prospect has came up and had this big of an impact on just baseball in general, not just their team. And it's hard to think of one because he
No.
is just everywhere. He's 10th or he's 12th on the Reds in WAR, and he's got a third of some of these guys' plate appearances.
Yeah.
It's
It's
incredible.
it's really incredible to watch. So that's the division to keep in mind. I mean, both like we said, the Centrals are really weak divisions based on records and overall production this year. But there's the Reds are the most exciting team I think to come out to either of those two divisions. They're just a really young, exciting team. East. Let's talk about the AL East. This is a really great division. Every team is at least 4 games above 500. This is one of the best divisions we've ever seen. Tampa Bay's in first, but they're 3-7 and lost their last 7 games. They're 3-7 in their last 10. They've lost 7 in a row. Orioles only 2 games back, 5 up in the wild card in the American League, and they're a really good
Yankees
young team.
just
Yankees and
fell
Blue
out.
Jays tied as the last wild card team at 49 and 41. Yankees 5-5 in their last 10. The Jays are 6-4. The Red Sox are 7-3 in their last 10. They're only 2 out of a wild card, 9 back in the division. It's really a 2-team race right now, I think, unless the Blue Jays or Yankees get real hot. But I don't see the Yankees really streaking unless Judge can come back soon.
It's unfortunate how much the Yankees offense depends on Aaron Judge in every single way. And the roster construction just isn't great when you have
Yeah, when
DJ
you have
LeMahieu not having a good year in any way.
no.
And
And
then
Stanton's starting to get hot, but once he hits his low point, he is at a low point for a very long time.
and Josh Donaldson starts occasionally, which I mean, he has in total 14 hits on the year, and 10 of them are home runs.
All of the statistics and projections had the Yankees and Blue Jays finishing 1-2 in either order. And right now they're 3-4, and there's potential they could finish 3-5 or 4-5 if the Sox stay hot because they're 7-3 in their last 10. The Sox are hitting really well, and they're getting some guys back in that rotation. Paxton and Bayo are pitching really, really well right now. And Jaron
Yeah.
Duran's come to life. Trevor Story's coming back in the next couple of weeks after the All-Star break. The Sox could make a push, but I'd say because as a fan, I see them on the day-to-day. There's a lot of big decisions in the front office, whether they want to do a trade of Paxton and Duvall out of there and think about next year, because they're not going to go over the luxury tax because they went over it last year. So they're either going to do like a hold, sort of like the Angels are kind of going to do, or they'll maybe trade off 1 or 2 veteran pieces. But I kind of hope they hold and just see where it goes because I really don't think there's that much you could gain by getting some
Yeah.
mid prospects.
There's not much you can do. And the AL East is just something else. The Yankees are never healthy and never consistent.
And
The
the
Blue Jays
Orioles
just
look really, really good. And they still have a top 10 farm system. And they're almost all within their first 3 years of playing. It's unbelievable. Adley
yeah.
Rutschman and Gunnar Henderson doing really well. They're going to trade for some pitching pieces, I think. And then you look at that bullpen. They have that guy Cano pitching the 8th inning and Batista pitching the 9th. I'll pull it up real quick, and then I'll move on. We'll move on to the West, or I mean the NL East.
Yeah,
Excuse
the
me.
NL East. Which is
Uh,
really just one team.
Batista 1.07 ERA, Cano with a 1.48, and then the FIP of 1.65, 2.37 for Cano. And both their whips are under 1.
Yeah.
Strikeouts per 9, 18 for Bautista. So that it's a really good bullpen. They just got to
Yeah.
trade. They got to trade for some starters. That's really what it comes down to.
And then they're good. I
Yeah.
mean, the Rays haven't been hot, but
Mm-hmm.
interesting division to
It's going to
look
be a
forward
really
to.
interesting division. We've got a lot to talk about with that division that we're going to follow for the rest of the year. So our last one's the NL East powerhouse. Not as powerful as the AL East because in this division, the Mets are below 500. Nationals, let's not talk about them. They're in last. This is exactly what we projected them to
25 and
be.
a half games out.
Yep, they're just way out. They're just not great. You know, they were supposed to be the worst record in the National League. So they're about where we expected. The Phillies, this is about where I expected them. They're 8 above 500. They had that Magic World Series run last year, but they lost Rhys Hoskins. Harper wasn't here at the beginning. They're an okay team. Zach Wheeler's underperforming. Aaron Nola could be a trade piece because he's in the last year of his contract, but they're in the last wild card spot. So I don't know if I can count on them staying in that last wild card spot with the Giants and the Brewers right behind them, but they're an interesting team to watch. I don't have much else to say about them. Miami, very much overperforming. Second place.
Yeah.
Everyone worried about that offense, but Luis Ariz hitting over 385 right now. He was chasing 400 for a while, then he really started to struggle, but like doesn't matter to them. They're still winning.
Yeah.
And
They're good.
their pitching rotation's really good.
They're good,
Cabrera,
but they can't
Luzardo.
compete with
They, no,
the team in there. Yeah.
no. So let's talk about the team, the Atlanta Braves. 9.5 games up on the Marlins, and the Marlins are 13 games over 500. The Braves are 60 and 28. They're the first team to 60 wins. 153 run differential. They're 9-1 in their last 10. They've won 3 straight.
Spencer Strider, dog.
Mm-hmm. Spencer Strider's unbelievable.
Ronald Acuna Jr.
Yeah,
Incredible.
really, really
Is he
good.
at
He's the MVP favorite. He'd
is
be
he
my
at
pick.
30 stolen bases?
I thought he was.
I don't remember. Is he?
I'll look. But
Let's check.
here, you take a look. My
He
take right now,
has
Braves have won this division, and I think they're the team to beat in the entire league.
I'm
I would,
sorry. He's at 21 home runs and 41 stolen bases. So he's
yeah,
at 2040
he'll
before
be,
the All-Star break.
I think he's going to get 40-40.
He
And
might get 40-60.
he's your NL MVP.
Yeah.
And so I don't have much on this division just because it's already over. It's really about wild card teams for the Marlins and Phillies. That's really what it's going to come down to. I picked the Braves to win the World Series at the beginning of the year. It's the most complete team.
Yeah.
1 through 9, it's great. Orlando Arcia was like the fill-in shortstop because Swanson left, and he's having a better year than Swanson, and it's not even close.
He's an all-star.
The Braves are really, really good. And I mean, you just can't get a more complete team in the league that stays consistent. And as long as they stay healthy, they are the best team in the league.
Yeah. Plain and simple.
And so we'll see what kind of moves they make at the deadline. And that will bring us to the All-Star break as we end today. Any final thoughts on what we talked about?
Not much.
And next time we'll come back. It'll probably be right after the All-Star break. We'll talk a little bit home run derby in the All-Star game, but we're going to kind of pick up. We're going to do some more player of the day. We'll do a guess the player competition. We'll probably do some drafts. We'll do some more fun stuff. But today we had to cover a lot and in a short amount of time. So we tried to hit on every single team today, but it's going to be much less compact. We're going to get much more in detail as we go. So that will do it for us here at the Cam and Joe Show in our divisional deep dive. And we hope you all enjoyed. And we will see you next time within the next week. So thank you all again.
Yep. Thank you for watching.